Hey there, it's Jessicat from Jessicat's Medi-Spa. Typical, right? I turn on the camera and then I get a bit of a frog in my throat. Why do I not allow clients to choose their own treatments? So an example of this is somebody can't just come in to my practice, my business, and request a HIFU treatment or a plasma fibroblast treatment. Or just recently, somebody reached out on Facebook and said she'd like some microneedling treatments and she figured she'd need about 5. Love that. Love that she knew that she needed a decent course of those treatments to actually gain the results she wants and deserves. Well, the reason is, right from get-go, when I opened my doors, which is almost 11 years now, as of next year, it'll be 11 years that I have been running my Medi-Spa and specializing specifically on repairing and rebuilding women's skin in a way that gains them results comparative to plastic surgery. In fact, I think they look better than plastic surgery, say a surgical facelift, because it's all them, baby. It's all their own healthy collagen, elastin, blood vessel growth, muscle mass. They just have to be patient and they need to trust in my method. There it is. They need to trust in my method because I know it's a dance of technologies, multiple technologies that's going to get them there. And it's often treatments like the Exilis Ultra 360. I was just trying to remember the exact name. Device that I love, that is non-ablative radio frequency and ultrasound. It's monopolar, so there's only one point of energy. And that little baby can provide us with current that repairs and rebuilds our skin in a way that fills up the deflating balloon that is our facial features, particularly after 50. It all starts to go down in our mid-30s, guys. The skin starts to thin. Why does it thin? Because your dermis, that deepest layer of skin, which is your collagen, elastin, and blood vessel making machine, that little bugger starts to deplete in size and strength. Hence, it stops producing as much collagen and elastin that it used to produce and sending it up into the outer layers of the skin, which is the epidermis. So it starts to decrease in its functionality, which means it starts to thin, it starts to send less goodies up into the outer layers of the skin, and the skin starts to thin. But depending on good luck is a huge part of it. Genetics are massive. You can't fake good genetics. And lifestyle habits. So it could be that the breakdown of your dermis actually only happens incrementally compared to other people. I was seeing fine lines and wrinkles at the ripe old age of 27. So my genetics, not so great. They're Kiwi English genetics. I know other people with genetics like mine. Usually they're not as fair as my family. We're still ridiculously blonde. And my skin just wants to age at the speed of light. So most people don't notice fine lines and wrinkles in their in their late 20s, and that was my journey. So that's when I started to look at topical skincare, and I made my journey onto peels, skin peels. And I did way too many of them, but I loved them because you actually got to see some bang for your buck. And I always suspected skincare had very limited capabilities in repairing and rebuilding the skin, and I was right. Then I had a very long journey through injectable therapies, and when I do something, guys, I'm obsessive compulsive. I do the hell out of it. And I was also trying laser treatments, microneedling treatments, you name it. I was reaching for it and trying it because I needed to slow down the aging process. I needed to hack my own beauty issues, find what worked to properly repair and rebuild my skin, to get me off all the filler that was making me look ridiculous. And I know to do that, it took microcurrent muscle therapy. It took non-ablative radio frequency. That was the key to my skin, and that's what I started out with 11 years ago. And then I built on the family of technologies that make up my treatment processes. It is not as simple as going and having a HIFU and woo, we've got a lifted lower face, because the HIFU muscle treatment enabled us to repair and rebuild the muscles here and underneath the jaw. It does that by shooting holes through the muscle tissue. You don't see anything on the outside, and then the hope is those holes fill up with new collagen, elastin, and blood vessel growth. That happens over about 6 to 9 months. Everywhere else on the face and neck that you have HIFU, that's skin and potentially fat. You've got to be very careful with messing with fat on the face, because you may think you want it to go from areas, but that does have an effect on everything else. So I know that it's non-ablative radio frequency that has the power to fill up the deflating balloon that can be our facial features. Okay, our faces literally fall top to bottom as we mature, and we got to fill up all that missing space with thick, strong skin. How long did it take you to get fine lines, wrinkles, enlarged pores, pigmentation issues, and eventually sagging skin? Well, usually it takes a good long time, because at first it just starts like a balloon. You can let just a tiny bit of air out of the balloon, tiny bit, tiny bit, tiny bit, tiny bit, but you don't notice the deflated look of the balloon. It's starting to cave in on itself, just like our faces, until it hits a tipping point. And that tipping point is a bit different for all of us. Usually around the 50, 55 mark, we go, oh my God, our appearance changed all of a sudden. It's actually been changing really, really incrementally, but we don't notice until it hits that tipping point, and we blame it on things like menopause. Menopause sucks. It does affect our collagen and elastin production. However, usually it's around the 50, 55 mark that our balloon starts to really show us, our skin starts to really show us that it has been thinning. So instead of going for quick fix treatments like Botox and fillers, again, that was a big part of my journey. I know we got to fill up that missing space with non-ablative radio frequency. It just feels nice and warm. A lot of people will, some of my clients, they're like, well, it didn't feel strong at all. Well, you need a good 8 of those when you first start with my service. That's part of your initial treatment package. And whilst we're working to target the dermis, target that deepest layer of skin, repair and rebuild it so that our skin doesn't just look better at the end of our initial course of treatments, we've actually made better functioning skin. How have we done that? We target the dermis specifically. So if you do microneedling, you know that you've hit the dermis when you get blood, okay? Because blood vessels are within the dermis. And if you don't treat that dermis, if you just go for something like plasma fibroblast treatment, say on your upper eyelids because you just want them to lift straight away, or you go for your laser treatments because you just want to look good straight away, well, you've not gone to the trouble of repairing and rebuilding your dermis properly. Took so many years to get the damage. If you want the ultimate non-surgical facelift, you're gonna have to do the time to repair and rebuild that. And then when your skin looks better, well, it's also better functioning skin. And we also layer in throughout our initial treatment packages things like Venus Viva, which is fractional RF. So just imagine while we're plumping out the fine lines and wrinkles, we are also working to polish them away. Because all a wrinkle is a scar that's left its mark in your skin because the skin has lost the capacity to bounce back after an expression. It can't do it anymore because it just doesn't have the collagen elastin growth to give that springy, spongy feel and look to the skin. So eventually, that expression line, as we make expressions over and over again, they scar into the skin. So we're polishing away the scar, but our main focus is to repair and rebuild the skin. We want the most dramatic effect, the most dramatic result from our initial course of treatments, but then we still need to build. We still need to build over the first year to 2 or 3 years after the initial treatment package has ended. Okay? And that is because we're filling up our balloon. That is a tough ask. Depending on the damage that a client has, this is going to take a while to do. And our non-ablative radio frequency that doesn't leave our clients visually healing can sometimes cause them to think they've not had a strong treatment, when, man, the fundamental part of my treatment service is non-ablative radiofrequency. I started out with a Venus Swan. I transitioned to a Venus Freeze. These are Venus Concept devices. They're the big guns in medical radiofrequency. They're combined with magnetic pulse technology. So for healing, think of magnets on your bed or a magnet bracelet. Sometimes people use those for pain. And the and now we have the Excellis. And the Excellis, so the Excellis Ultra 360 with its 1 point of energy instead of the 4 points of energy that the Venus equipment had, that has just blown me away over the last 2 years as far as the results that we can gain for our clients even faster. Okay, we can fill up that balloon even faster, but we do it with non-ablative radiofrequency, and it doesn't leave any visual healing, and that's pumping up that balloon. We combine things like the Venus Fever, which is fractional radiofrequency. We add in things like RF-Microneedling sometimes. So sometimes I'll swap out the non-ablative radiofrequency with RF-Microneedling, or I'll do RF-Microneedling at the end of Excellis Ultra 360 treatment on less intense levels than I would if I was doing a standalone RF microneedling treatment, because there is a point where your skin has taken all of the damage that it possibly can in order to recover from a controlled wounding that will result in better looking skin. You don't want to wound the skin so dramatically that it just doesn't have the capacity to bounce back. And do consider that women that I'm looking for, they quite often have much thinner skin than younger women because they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. So we've got to leave enough whole tissue, enough healthy tissue, enough unharmed tissue so that it can help heal the wounded cells, okay, from the controlled trauma that we create. We also add in treatments like plasma fibroblast therapy, and you'll see me sometimes sporting little dots, which are actually just, they're not scabs, they're actually a carbon crusting. And that, why is it called a carbon crusting? Because plasma fibroblast therapy is like an electric shock that you get if you reach for a metal can on a shelf. Okay, so that's static electricity. In nature, we can see static electricity as a lightning bolt. So that is in miniature, okay, when it's used in our clinics in the form of plasma fibroblast therapy. It barely strikes the skin and we're able to pinpoint collagen and elastin production. And I like to use it as an icing on the cake treatment, because if you did it on thin and fragile skin, you are risking scarring, post-inflammatory pigmentation. We're not scared of that. We are not scared of post-inflammatory pigmentation, okay? It just means pigmentation that has occurred through the healing process, and it will go away over, worst case scenario, a couple of months. And sometimes we have to go through a little bit of that if we're in a hurry, if we're really pushing things to repair and rebuild the skin in a timely manner. And topical products like niacinamide, vitamin C, and other compounds help us to get rid of that faster. So too does lead light. So you can hear me talk about all these different technologies I use within my treatment processes, and I even set my clients up at home with lead light therapy and microcurrent devices, because that raises a substance within their cells called adenosine triphosphate, ATP, which is referred to by biologists as the energy of life. So it's literally the energy currency within every cell of your body. And if we can keep adenosine triphosphate high, a microcurrent device that can do it, like the new face device, yeah? If you use that for 3 minutes on the face, 3 minutes on the neck, 3 minutes on the chest every day, morning and night is best, you're keeping or you're raising adenosine triphosphate levels, ATP, by 500%. That is the holy grail in at-home skincare treatments, but it feels like you're doing nothing at all. Lead light, you know of red lead light and its power. It's getting a lot of traction at the moment in mainstream beauty and even health and wellness. But it needs to be used regularly. So it's great that I include that within my treatments. And man, I've got a lot of lead light. I've got a big half bed that stands behind our HyperVibe machine. I've got a full body bed that my clients can use free of charge as part of my service. I've got a lead light sleeping bag on my bed, which I'm able to on-sell to clients and help them set up for full body devices at home. And we always, when we take on new clients, set them up with a soft face silicone mask that they are able to borrow through the full course of their first package of treatments. It preps their skin, and it also throughout their treatments, it helps them to work as the best team possible to gain them the best results possible. The true beauty of lead light is when you can use it every second day at home, ongoing. So this is an example. This 15-minute rant is why I do not allow clients to just come into my clinic and request treatments. We do work as a team. My clients' feedback is very important. We tweak their packages, the treatment processes that they have when they first come on board with me and that they get within their schedule. Really, they're just a guide because I swap out technologies as needed as I see how their skin responds throughout their courses of treatments. And I reach for all of these different technologies for a capped price. I include all skincare and at-home devices free of charge. And I do that because the better my clients look, the better I feel about the job I do, and the better I do. My clients' faces are literally my advertising. So we do not allow people to just come into our clinics and request treatments. That's not how my service works. If you want to know how my service works, jump on my homepage of my website, read all the information, then jump on my treatment package page, read all the information, then send us the answers to all the questions listed at the bottom of the treatment package page. And my ideal client is a woman 50, 55 years and over. I would love to take on younger clients, but I really do enjoy working with mature age clients and making this turn into closer to this. We're not a mannequin. We're not going for perfection. We just don't want to look like we're melting. No, it's no good. We don't want jolly jewels. No, it's no good. Okay, and those jolly jewels, that goes down to affect all of the skin of our neck because the face falls from top to bottom as we mature. So we need to treat face, neck, chest. Yep, we treat all the chest and even the hands. We need to consider all of these areas if we want to attain and maintain a youthful look ongoing. Also, my mature ladies, they listen. Okay, they're not going to get sidetracked by the latest thing on TikTok, and they will stay the course. They have learnt that all the glitz and glamour and promises that you see in advertising in the beauty and aesthetic, high-end aesthetic world are a lot of the time, they're just not giving you all the information. To get the most out of a technology, I find you have to have used it consistently for about a year. And a lot of these technologies that I use, I know that it is not widely understood how powerful they actually are if you make them the primary form of treatment. If your clients aren't going off and get fillers and Botox and laser and all these sorts of things, if you just use medical grade radio frequency, both non-over ablative and ablative, if you use it over a long enough period, used in the correct way, you literally can create the non-surgical facelift. Microcurrent muscle work in there is a big portion of that, but we'll talk about that in another post. Ladies, I hope this answers the question that I brought up at the beginning of this video. We don't let clients choose their own treatments because of my experience and because I know that it's a dance of technologies that are necessary to get my clients the results they want and deserve. Ladies, the natural aging process is relentless, and so must we be in our efforts to keep it in its place and off our face, neck, chest, hands, bodies Love you, ladies, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Jessicat's Medi-Spa.